Send it.
Did this time work for you? We can change it.
No, the time's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to be like ridiculous. I really appreciate you, you like doing this with me, and anytime that is within reason. This is a reasonable time. This is great.
Like I said, I'm pretty available weekday evenings and weekend mornings.
Cool. So, yeah.
Like Sunday at 7 a.m. I woke up at around 5. I was like, oh shit, did I miss Adam? Looked at the thing and saw you responded last night. So I saw a thing and I was like, oh shit, I missed it. 7 a.m. is ample for me. I could have got more prepared than I did. And by that, I mean like putting a
Oh, you didn't even know I was going to actually call or anything. So, yeah.
I didn't. And I wasn't going to reach out to put pressure on you to do so. But I also wanted to be prepared in case you did. If nothing else, it'll be a record for kids. Hey, my uncle did this.
I know.
30 years ago.
I'd rather have done this than have not done this. And I'd rather have done this than probably anything else I was going to do during this time. So count that as a net.
I'll think about just the recipe a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. I would love that.
Give some feedback. Maybe it'll change.
I mean, we were just kind of flying. I mean, it kind of didn't even really like start officially. We just kind of went.
I'm still waiting to start.
Hey, welcome to the show. This is James and Unthinck Me, Adam, whatever you want.
Hell of an intro.
We're just hanging out. We're going to talk about alien visitations and leadership and a couple other things. We have spent weeks in preparation, detailed charts and Visio workflow outlines and schematics, blueprints, diagrams, that sort of thing.
Flow charts.
You got yourself the bathroom buddy. What is success? How does a person want it, and how is it acquired? Really, just to keep things simple.
That's super individualistic. After I moved out of the mountains, a $300 paycheck after two weeks of labor seemed too generous. Goddamn, I'm too successful. But they didn't need to pay me that much. I enjoyed what I was doing because it was a mindless, repetitive task. And then, the CEO of Microsoft, a $5 million bonus is just like, I might not even cash that check. Monetary success. What if success is I want to build a cabin, and then once the cabin's complete, I'll consider myself successful. My 600-pound life, I just want to be able to walk to the mailbox without being out of breath. That's success. It's extremely individualistic. Once you get like corporations and stuff into it, then success is unified into someone else's idea. But as an individual, success is just something that you had to be. When you're learning, if you're learning anything, it's uncomfortable. So
okay, this is a good hook here. Yeah.
Being better at learning is just becoming more comfortable being uncomfortable, because nobody likes to not know something or be in a social situation that didn't go the way you wanted it to. That's uncomfortable.
But this is one of the big 5 personality traits, right? Openness, and it ranges in people. And some people are really, really, they hate learning. They can't stand it. And some people, it's difficult, but they accept the challenge, like a performer. Yeah, it makes me nervous, but I love doing it. It makes me feel good.
I'm
that guy. I think I was telling you, like, I feel stupid if I'm sitting there working and not learning. And that's like a problem that I have, that I start to feel stupid. Like everyone's like, who's this idiot who's just doing the same thing over and not learning anything? I like have this, I feel that. I'm like, that whenever I'm not learning anything. So I, like right now, I'm learning French again, just because like I feel like an idiot if I'm not doing that in some way, shape, or form. But of course, I hate learning. Like sitting there listening to French, I'm like, oh God, like I wish I just understood this. When's the eureka moment going to come? And it never comes. You just get 1% better every couple weeks.
Mhm.
Your engine goes up, you recognize a couple more words, and there's no magic to it. It's just a long process. I like that. But yeah, everyone does hate that. But
Yeah.
some people like it more than others. So you're placing like the capacity to learn as essential for what? Like the capacity to learn is what?
Well, so as it pertains to success, that is success the benchmark? Is success that in 2 weeks you're 1% better? Or is success?
I love that hook there, you know, like people feeling stupid when they're learning. It's so obvious, but it's so ubiquitous. It's like everyone has that and shows that. And it's like, well, I think some of us are really impatient with with that. It's like, no, we're all new here. We're all children. We were kids. We got here and we're trying to figure everything out. Other hook being the individualized notions of success. And with people our age, I hear a lot of not that people have trouble obtaining success, but they have trouble defining success. They don't know what they want. Or they know what would, you say, okay, well, I could do this job for 2 years. I could live in a house, but who cares? Who cares about me? Who cares where I live? Who cares whether I'm comfortable? What am I here to do? Why am I here? What am I trying to accomplish? And what do I need to accomplish that? Am I wasting time pursuing comfort? Or do you pursue comfort when you don't know what else to do? As far as defining your own personal success, like let's say that a person is in that position, because we know people who are in that position, at least from time to time. Like, how does a person begin to define a concept of success that will make them feel successful?
And I think that's an ever distancing horizon. The more successful you are, the more success you crave.
So it's horizontal across the orange meme plat. You can keep going until you're Elon Musk or whatever. But
and he doesn't feel he's successful.
And I think that's the self-actualization drive, like just to all the drives, your need for food is always, even when you're stuffed, it's like, well, I could eat a piece of cake, and you get diminishing returns from it. But again, with success, you get more and more and more, you get diminishing returns. It doesn't satisfy you to get that million
dopamine rush. Yeah.
So that would be the time to transcend actualization needs and realize that there's something you're fundamentally needing and not getting if you keep acquiring success and it doesn't change the feeling of being unsuccessful. So let's say that a person has a well-defined notion of success, that it's a particular material benchmark and a particular lifestyle set of benchmarks. And they've said, like, okay, this is what I consider to be success. I think it probably could be attained in 5 years. I have 5 years. I'm going to dedicate myself to that. What do you think about that approach?
So in the leadership books, that's called a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound.
And I like the baby steps. You kind of create all the milestones of the sub step.
The bastard of being a human, the real son of a bitch of being a human being, is acclimation.
I know right where you're going. Yeah.
take Susie's success in elementary school, who wants to be a neurosurgeon when she grows up, and does all the benchmarks all the way up, success, becomes a neurosurgeon, number one in the world, neurosurgeon at the extremely young age of 30. So she's done. I could wrap her lips around a cold steel barrel and be done with it because
climate.
Yeah, everything's checked. No. Now it's I want to discover this, or I want to open a school so other people can do what I do. We acclimate. So success has to be the benchmarks. You take your shot, you hit your benchmark, you move the chains a little bit, and then you re-aim and shoot for another one. If you say, I'm starting at step 1 and my goal is to get to step 100 on a very linear, laid out path, I doubt you'd be happy by the time you got to the end.
I don't. Yeah. My motto is if you're doing something impressive, it's not impressing you.
No, absolutely not.
You've been doing that shit. An actor's performance, they're not impressed with how they did. Performance, they're so bored with that performance, and it looks to you like this is the first time they've ever done it because that's a great performance.
The sort of sports equivalent. I'm not super into sports, but you hear it all the time. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, the young guy, Steph Curry. Their level of satiation with their success is almost none because they're competing with themselves. Wherever I landed this time, I need to land farther next time. So that I doubt they feel any sort of success internally. I mean, they're rich. They have everything they want. Everything an observer could think they want. But every success just shows you how much farther the horizon of happiness actually is.
Okay, so
Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about how big is the universe, and he put it into a really nice analogy that I like a lot. And it goes hand in hand with this success and benchmarks. If we were to shoot an arrow, and with no laws of physics, it'll just go forever. Eventually, it would hit something, or you would think. Once it hits something, what's to stop us from climbing to the top of that thing and shooting again? So your success, Susie's success from middle school, she shot the arrow and it hit the wall of being a neurosurgeon. Okay. But hitting that wall is almost a failure at this point. If you dedicate yourself to something so hard and then get it, you're so unsatisfied. You got to climb to the top of the wall and shoot again.
What about people who have a realistic, attainable, a smart goal and they cannot achieve it?
Then it wasn't a smart goal.
Yeah.
It's attainable. Realistic and attainable are both in there. So me going to the top of Mount Everest, is that realistic? Kind of. I mean, if I wanted to dedicate the next however long training to do so, and I mean, it's okay. It's kind of realistic. It's out there. But I'm also in a wheelchair. So is that attainable? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think there was someone who tried that. I think that was a story.
I don't know. Maybe that was a bad analogy, but smart or specific. I can't say I want to climb to the top of a mountain. Which mountain? Specific. Measurable.
Okay.
What's the top of the mountain? Is that the top of the tree on top of the top of the mountain? Measurable. Realistic. Do I have legs and arms?
About this kind of milieu people are stuck in, and I feel that there is that sense that people don't feel like they're succeeding today. Obviously, there's real reasons for that, but there's also the psychological issues, which are more kind of pertinent to what we're talking about.
I suffer from a lot of that. The roadblocks. Siddhartha says there's no such thing as suffering. I hold myself back with a lot of that. And one of my teachers through life had me call him every day for 2 months. Call me every day and tell me one thing you succeeded at today. I don't care what it is. You had an immaculate shit. You went through, there was nothing there. That might be a success. Doesn't matter how big or small. But to break the mentality of there's always the next step, you have to recognize a win, any sort of win. And once you do it every single day for whatever timeline you decide, it becomes natural to be able to allow yourself the success. In my specific situation, the roadblock was I didn't think I was good enough for what I was doing or any of these tasks. So success perceived by other people was abound. Like, wow, you're doing really good at this. But I wouldn't allow myself to feel that as a success. Probably subconsciously, because I felt that if I allowed myself to celebrate any sort of success, that's where I'd put up camp. But in order to not go crazy and give up or work yourself to death, you have to recognize these steps towards a goal. You have to. And just being able to recognize that takes mental conditioning. A lot of people don't see success in their daily lives. There is. You woke up today, didn't fall down. That might be a success.
A big part of the psychological problem is that people don't recognize the success that they're actually doing already, and then they become defeated and actually fail, like long term, because they felt like they were unsuccessful, and they felt like an imposter, or they felt like nothing ever worked because they were always looking at this kind of pie in the sky vision of how things were supposed to be, and not seeing that they've been making continuous progress just on a scale that made it be disappointing without actually sussing out how they should expect it to look.
Ultimately, yes, but I would exchange the word of success with happiness. You'll never be happy because you're hitting all these successes and not taking the split second to recognize that, and always moving towards this larger goal without recognizing the smaller steps. Once you get to that larger goal, you won't recognize it, and you have, in order to be happy, you have to be able, not celebrate. I'm not popping the champagne cork because I made it to the first water station in a marathon. But you have to recognize, hey, I made it to that first water station. And reward or no reward, in order to be happy, you have to be able to recognize the marginal gains. That you're 1% better at French every 2 weeks. If you're not recognizing that, you will be teaching at a very advanced college astrophysics solely in French and still depressed and still down at yourself that you're not very good at French. Another sports analogy that I'll give you, that I'm not a sports guy, but it seems so obvious when you think about it. In the game of football, American football, all you have to do to win every game you play is make 3.3 yards every play. That's it. You don't have to make a touchdown every one. You don't have to make a first down every one. All you got to do is make 3.3 yards, because if you do that consistently, you will have a touchdown every possession.
You and I have both in our life struggled with this toxic idea of success, this never-ending treadmill of advancing and feeling like you're getting nowhere. You're not valuing what you're doing, and it's not making you feel good, and it's not motivating. So your ego's depleted, you have no energy, and you're just, fighting. You're gritting your teeth and gunslinging through your life.
I don't think we're unique in that feeling in any way. I think that's like the majority feel that way.
Yeah, like there's dire straits happens to almost everyone, just statistically. Where Maslow's actualization, or the orange meme, strive, drive, rational achievement mindset, you need some of it for happiness. If you are at that level, you can't be happy without defining some form of success. success and pursuing it. But it seems like, at least in our culture in America, a lot of us are dissatisfied with that process. And maybe always have been, and maybe it is dissatisfying in nature. But how does a person, because I think both you and I and a lot of people we know are at this nodal point where we're kind of either success, we have that actualization done, and we're like good on it, and we're now getting into like a new set of needs, or like trying to find a way from there, or we're not really playing that game the same way ever. It's another thing I see, and success like has a very individualized meaning for a person, and I really admire that. I really admire that perspective because I have this like intrinsic motivation. I'm a fan of extrinsic. I'm impressed at extrinsic success. I'm impressed with people who are doing what they want to do with their time, and everyone feels such a strong urge to move up in their supposed class position, and yet everyone also feels that that is a pursuit that leads to a life of joylessness. And we've been there, we've been joylessness, and that could lead to like issues, like I can't live this way anymore. I can't stand it. And so it's like,
So, the word success in and of itself seems like an end. Okay, success. We can stop doing that. Successful is a little softer, but still marks an end to something.
I get it.
So like the money can't buy you happiness thing is something that poor people say. And extremely rich people are like, man, I wish I could just, check out and not have the little responsibility of living in a trailer house, and the community of everybody is kind of at each other's throats, but we all get each other, and that's the trailer park. It goes, not to discredit people who live in trailer parks or the ultra rich, but it's perception based. Someone who's Steve Wozniak, extraordinarily wealthy. Steve Wozniak helped Steve Jobs. You don't ever hear about him because he's happy.
But I mean, I know that, I mean, there are some people who, right now there's like this tiny house revolution, right? And people are like, well, maybe I'd be happy with like very little. And it's kind of bullshit in a lot of ways as a cultural trend, because these are usually like very privileged people who don't have to worry about money at all and don't like really work.
What they're going to find out is what we kind of touched on yesterday is even in a tiny house, you're still there. And I think ultimately that's the problem. I'm not happy because you don't know what's going to make you happy, or you can't celebrate progress.
I feel like you do this a lot, right? This is kind of what
Me
you
or one
with individuals, like when you're working with an individual,
developing a person. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your process? Or
it's kind of that. Well, yeah, no, it's fine. See, if I get hired, I'll give you the whole process. So I can't just give you the process. You just need to understand that I have a process. Oh, just give us any part. Okay, I'll give you step 3 of phase 2. Connect with the person on even the most base level. Kind of understand their motivations. Do they have a bunch of kids and that, they want nothing more than to spend time at home with their kids and that's what makes them happy? Or do they like to go fishing as often as they can, or skiing their thing? It doesn't matter what it is, but find out some sort of motivation. What made you want to work here? What put you in front of me? That's like step very, very 1. Get some sort of connection. Cat's lost. Go from there as far as what would be your 3.3 yards to where you want to go. What do you want? What do you want? Oh, I want to have I just want to have it so my wife can stay home with the kids and I have weekends free. Okay, what's that going to take? Inevitably, in America, that ends up to a dollar amount. Okay, so is that even attainable at this company? Do you have the skills to get to that place at said company? Okay, you do. Okay, so let's start laying out a measurable and time-bound achievement that would lead you towards that path. One of the things we've been talking about with advancement, us and them, top down, is we could have an entry-level person that could be the CFO, but there is only one CFO, so you have to wait for that position to open. So what we do, one of the philosophies of training in our company is we want to train people to the extent that they can go get a better job somewhere else. That's our goal, is to train you so well that you could go make more money somewhere else. But we want to treat you so well that you don't want to. And I think that was, who's Virgin Galactic? Yeah, the one that looks like Larry. You know who I'm talking about? Virgin Galactic. Outer space.
Yeah.
That guy. Anyway, super rich guy. And so, okay, so let's figure out, you want to run the company.
Okay, so I mean, I think that to boil that down, there isn't like a quick and easy, like, this is what you do. There is a structured, methodical way of planning for, quote unquote, a successful outcome. And it can be as complicated as you make it. But the good model is going to be rather complicated. It's going to have phases and steps, and it's going to be very structured and hierarchical.
I don't think hierarchy has anything to do with it, but yeah. You can give me an end game, and like I said before, once you hit that wall, why wouldn't you climb and shoot again? So there has to be an overall want. You want to work here until you're able to retire. Okay. What's step one? What's an attainable, realistic, measurable, time-bound, specific thing that we can do next? There's no end. When you're developing a person, there's no end. Hopefully, if you're doing your job right, they exceed you in something. They surpass you in some way. Then you've done it right.
And that's how the developmental thing is. The development, it never ends. It's like,
and that's why I don't like the word success, because success would sort of note that you're finished.
The happily ever after. It's like, well, did they die? Did they get divorced? You know, well, what does happily ever after mean? Like,
yeah, when's the point where you stop and your level of comfort and happiness and fulfillment continue on, but you don't have to do anything anymore? That doesn't exist.
So we've talked a lot about the sort of strive, drive, and success in communication in a leadership role. So let's get in a little bit, kind of to head toward the station, into what transcending that means. Like, what does it mean? Okay, I made my plan. I'm on the plan. The plan is working. I no longer need to be concerned about the future as far as I know. Like, there could be anything can happen, but looking forward, I probably will have a comfortable path forward, and I will probably have an okay retirement as far as that goes. And I see the next place to shoot my arrow, but there's always another horizon. And so then we start getting into a new need set. We start getting into our transcendental need set. And what does that mean today? And what does it mean for you? And what does it mean for a person? I think that maybe to kind of start that, we come back to those things that we just natively feel joy doing, whether it's making people laugh or being in charge or accomplishing things. There tends to be just a thing that people are drawn towards doing, that if all the other shit was out of the way, at least we tend to believe we would just do this thing all the time and that would be perfect. Is that a fantasy? Is that attainable? Is it a proper understanding of transcendental needs? Because that has a very specific meaning in terms of like state practice, but it can also just mean transcending the orange meme rat race mentality. It can be talking more about a move to a green meme perspective than a second tier perspective. But in either case, you're looking at less of a focus on developing towards a successful outcome and more on quote unquote transcendence. And it seems like I'm drawn towards like singing and dancing and thinking. Those seem to be things that I'm drawn towards. And I really enjoy doing coding. I don't know how to solving problems with weird languages that manipulate physical hardware to do things. I seem to really like that, and I didn't know that. So what do you think about all that? Like, does it realign with?
Okay, you asked me 14 to 30 questions. The solid answer to all of them is 42. But I think if I were to summarize everything, it would be knowing what a lot of those were before, like the non-transcendental things. A lot of it is monetary things that you were talking about. That's the nature of the beast. So knowing where your lowest monetary number, what number,
right,
is at your level of sacrificing creature comforts without sacrificing happiness, and knowing where those two sort of align. Is that $100? Is that $100 million? Is that $10 million a week, a day, an hour? Yeah, where that balance is. And if you were to stay one step above that, I don't know how you couldn't consider yourself successful. And then along the lines of the success and transcendentality of it, transcendentation, the transcendentation would be being happy and considering success in progress alone. There's no end. If you can recognize progress as a success, I think that dollar and comfort amount goes way down. The people who live subsistence lifestyles with, $10 a month is all they need so that they can go and buy their tobacco or whatever. Their level of success is just being comfortable tomorrow. The work I do today is comfort tomorrow. And they recognize that as progress and celebrate the progress. There's no end. To go from orange to green, not the way, but a measure would be the ability to multiply that for others. For free. I'm comfortable living in my tiny house with my tiny dog. And I don't need any more external income or produce or whatever. I'm good. And then what would increase my happiness without increasing this level of comfort change would be to get that for other people. At no personal gain.
My dad says in order to be okay, you have to have 80,000 a year. That's it. That's just that's as hard as it gets. 80,000. You gotta have that. You can get better.
That would be nothing if you were you'd be fucked if you were in Seattle or New York City. You would be a king on the high mountain, and you'd be shitting in high cotton in the deep south. You'd be unbelievable, unfathomably rich in Thailand.
So I should move to the fourth place.
Yeah.
I just moved get killed.
No.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to these cities, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a bad neighborhood." I'm like, "Is it really bad, or is it just poor?" Because there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, love you. Bye. Slam laptop. When you went to Google and asked, what did it tell you? It'll say like 30 minutes. The ones I listen to are like hour and a half plus.
Right.
30 minutes is like a commercialized thing.
They've cut their teeth. Yeah, like $80,000 in 30 minutes. That's what you need in this world. I can certainly cut it down to that length. Impactful.
Oh, I don't care what length.
That's our problem.
I'm doing this for the joy of doing this. If no one else listened, I listened to you and you listened to me.
And I mean, I think this is kind of what I want to do. Yeah, it's like we have just been talking when we just started talking because we haven't talked in such a long time. It was all about like career and stuff. And so we were talking about success and we were talking about, whatever that means and in terms of spiral dynamics and in terms of development. And it seems like a really natural place. I have done so much on the integral and spiral dynamics stuff that the goal now is to take that and not be talking just about it as itself in the abstract, because that's where these things end up staying so much is you're hashing out the theory, but it's like, okay, let's take the theory for granted. And this is really tough. Like, I don't think I've accomplished this ever, but let's take the theory for granted and start talking about stuff, just like people hanging out, talking about stuff with the integral framework as part of the language and nomenclature of what's happening. And it could be a stupid conversation. It can be like whatever. We could talk about chips. We could talk about shampoo. We could talk about flying airplanes, but just with somewhat of this kind of new kind of meta thinking, where you're just always focused on the, what is really going on? What is really happening? What are all the perspectives on it? What am I forgetting? Which perspective am I not looking at? And like every time you talk about a thing in the individual, okay, bring in the collective. Every time you talk about a thing very like success, very much in terms of orange values. And it's like, well, we don't actually like the word success because we're not actually fully orange meme all the time. So the word success is almost like it's like booze. It's like, yeah, I want booze. I want more booze. I want more booze. I want more booze. It's like, that's actually a problem that I have. It's it's the human condition. And so I think there's so many people our age that are trying to solve these problems without the conventional models that are just like, there are now so many good books on how to succeed. There's no excuse. Read the books on leadership and management. And then you're competing against other people. And however good you are and however hard you work, you'll win a game. You'll compete, you'll win, and you'll get somewhere. And it's like very important to define how much of that you really want to get engaged with and how much of that you really want to accomplish when all is said and done, and how much of your time and energy you want to spend on that, how much you have to spend on that in order to do the things that make you joyful, whether you have to do that. I mean, these are very central questions to like everyone I talk to. Do I actually need to do this? Am I wasting my life? What is there a such thing as wasting life? Is it because we're all in that existential place. We're all at least familiar with green meme, and just knowing that ultimately all these values that we have and all these ambitions that we have are just a program that we're running on an individual level and on a collective level. And when you compete, one wins, one loses. That's a bad outcome for 50% of the participants. Or, you know, if it's a winner take all, it's a bad outcome for nearly everyone. And our system, the best system that's ever existed, is a winner take all system. And we're maybe not. It seems to me like we're starting to really see some social problems being created by that. Which
monetarily, winner takes all. Happiness wise, I doubt the winner's happy. Money wise, money is a fuck. I'm going to drive around.
I feel like, yeah, the upper middle class is kind
spread
of
the people's word until I run out of the people's gas. You just need to find where comfort for the average person equates to happiness. So if you make, regardless of dollar amount, whatever you're making, if that's less than your comfort level, you're unhappy. If that's more than your comfort level, you could be happy until you start to raise that comfort level expectation to the point of that money level stays right above it. To be comfortable, I need to have a housekeeper. You're shifting your comfort level. Once you know what that is, if you don't shift it and you're making more money, give the money away. It doesn't matter. Oh, that guy up the street who has all the money is so happy. Fuck no, his comfort level, his need to want kept changing. And now he thinks, or she thinks, that person thinks they need a bunch of wants.
Yeah, and aside from the material thing, there's also sort of the question of like, well, getting into green meme existentialism, it's like, why do we want to be happy? Why do you want to be happy? Because I want to express joy to other people and have them experience it, and that sounds fun. I want the planet to sing and dance. But why? Like, it's an end in itself. It seems like I think that both you and I kind of take that for granted, that the world is meaningless. But okay, so might as well sing and dance. Might as well be happy, joyful. Happy is such a weird word because like happy, like I hate that. I don't like, you know, positivity, like totalitarian. You know, or I don't know. They're trying. That's good. I'm not trying to be a dick about that, but a lot of us aren't happy. A lot of people experience unhappiness very tangibly a lot of the time, whether they're successful or not, whether they're material successful or not, whether they're accomplishing goals or not. Like, and you, I think as you age, you also are just like, you value happiness differently. And it's like, for me, honestly, at this point, I feel like I want happiness so that I can get work done. Like I want happiness so that I'm not out of energy, so that I can confidently approach people and talk to them. That's what the currency of happiness does for me. It makes me more effective. As an end in itself, like I've been chosen this life that like it isn't just like Disneyland. Clearly, this is a harsh world. There's a lot of stuff to be sad and angry and upset about, and it's utterly unfair. I mean, anyone who thinks that the world is fair it's like, why would it be fair? Nothing's fair. Like, so there's a lot to be unhappy about, and I think the existentialist kind of always plays around with this, like how much joy and sadness is essential for the human condition, and how can we use these things in a valuelessness, like in a vacuum of values, or how do we reorganize values so that they become comprehensible? Because happiness and comfort and joy in and of themselves are just a program that's running. There's no intrinsic reason to do this, to win, succeed, flourish, and live. Like, yeah,
everyone you saw today chose not to kill themselves this morning.
Or
everybody.
Someone, yeah.
Well, maybe somebody else. You'll still see them. You don't know that part.
Obviously, in the path of pursuing things, there's suffering to be undergone, and so you take on that suffering.
There's no sweet without the bitter.
Right? Yeah, and it's part of the cost of attaining what you want. And so I think about the kind of orange bean character who's just grinding calories and energy and effort, just grinding it out, just coffee me up, like coke me up, and just get that work out there, get the money, everything's going to be okay. We just need more and more and more. That mindset, the running yourself into the ground mindset, and then moving into like a more green mean mindset, like, well, okay, I do want some material success, but I also want to be influential. I also want to be happy. I also want to have a family, and it becomes this more holistic perspective. I also want my children to live on a planet that's not going to disappear from, like where the surface of the planet isn't going to radically transform over the course of 20 years to the point where it's unhappy to be who we are. How much should I serve how much should I permit myself happiness in order to, as a being who has to expend effort to accomplish things? The work-life balance basically is like another way to put it. It's like, well, what is work and what is life? There's a lot of bleed over there.
I'm following you, and I hit a hurdle when you said permit. Happiness shouldn't be a reward. Like, okay, I'm going to treat myself to a little bit of happiness. It's not a tangible reward system. It's a mindset of...
let's say specifically this weekend, I could either write a program that may help my career, or I could go on a road trip that will help my heart, or I can talk to you that will help my hobby and fun and friends.
I'm cutting into those things. Goddamn well you wouldn't have been awake until right now anyway.
I do know that, yes.
It's about cutting into anything. Those little bonus special features. Well, that's your. It sounds like you don't have a SMART goal.
And again, as a green meme, this is what I mean. Like, the SMART goal is undermined by, and this is what I hear in a lot of people. I want to kind of pin it down because I think you're making a good point. You don't have a SMART goal because you think the system itself is flawed, and the most important thing to do is to influence the system into becoming better rather than participating in it. But you then don't have any people to do that because you aren't in the system.
Maybe. So let me rephrase that. It sounds like you have two opposing SMART goals. You're trying to go down two branches at a time at the same time. There's nothing wrong with diversifying yourself, but it's the either or. Either I write this program or I go on a road trip. The hell are you talking about? You have the same amount of hours in a day that Beyonce has.
I know that. Yeah.
Could you not get to wherever you're going, do the show, or do some busking or whatever, and also during the hours of that same day write some of the program?
This is getting into like the Arnold Schwarzenegger like sleep faster thing. It's like, yeah, I could put more into my day, and then I could put more into my day. I could sleep 2 hours. I could do amphetamines. I could put more in. And I'm talking about like okay, I'm gonna spend 6 hours working on something today. That's the fact. Like, I couldn't spend more. But then we're cutting into a different system going on, plans going on. When I'm structuring my time, when I'm scheduling, yeah, there's multiple things going on. And I think that that's problematic for a lot of people. A lot of people don't have a career and a family and a hobby, and it takes their time. And so that might be sleeping and health related, that kind of thing. And I definitely feel the multiple branches conflicting with one another, but all those branches seem to be necessary.
Is your efficacy of working on whatever you're going to work on for 6 hours at its peak for the entire 6 hours?
It kind of depends. With coding, it usually is. With like road tripping, that's pretty hard. I would say I do very bad at that. If I was trying to plan a road trip to maximize the joy, I do a really bad job at actually.
So that if that were on the goal, if that were on like the goal list, it wouldn't have been specific or necessarily time bound using that structure on that. But being able to put something down and change to something else is important also, because you may have fun. Okay, so you have fun coding. So just do that. Why don't you just code 6 hours today and 6 hours tomorrow? So eventually that's not going to be fun anymore.
No, maybe.
I just would run out of money. I actually, I was doing that and I was running out of money. And
your
no, I think maybe
your output wasn't like intrinsic. You couldn't sell your output.
Not at that time. No. As a coder, I'm really good at some things that nobody's good at, and I don't have the best. Like, I didn't go to college for it, right? And so I don't have the well-rounded like textbook stuff, and so I'm uneven. It's different. I do things, as you can imagine, in a different way.
A coding mercenary.
Yeah, kind of. And it's not like that's a super rare thing, but it is like there's kind of a difference between the like college educated like coders that don't really like coding. They're like more just like they wanted the career. And then there's like nerds that just fucking love, doing that, which is like kind of what I found that I am. But yeah, no, that is certainly like a thing that I've been working toward for like probably 4 years now. Is like, yeah, how do I code more of my time and actually get paid for it? But it's pretty common to spend, when you're self-trained, to spend a good amount of time on that process. And so like, if I were talking to like a career counselor or something, the go-to is always like, get into this program, get a certification, go to this course. I kept getting told to educate myself, and I kept spending money on that, and it didn't result in anything. But when I just go to work at a place, eventually I start making it somewhere. So I don't know.
In the chefing world, I didn't. If I was hiring someone, I would look more interest. I would look deeper into someone who's not like structurally school educated, because it misses so much of the real life element. I did hire some people from culinary school, and they didn't. I'd say 30% of them took the job because I'm going to start you in the dish pit. Yes, you just spent $40,000 learning a bunch of vocabulary and a bunch of techniques, but you know fuck all about how it actually works.
That's
and even now, like the people who are educated, the military education is a little bit different, but I have found in corporate America, if you're from the military, you kind of get a leg up, you kind of get ahead of it a little bit. But look at the movie Stripes. They got out of the military and said, "Hey, I was in the military." Yet you were a fuck off the whole time. That doesn't really ring to me very much. I thank you for your service and fighting for what I enjoy every day as freedoms. But that doesn't mean you're a hard worker. It doesn't mean you're organized. That just means you made it. The military takes all kinds. So does school. Doesn't mean you have any sort of intelligence whatsoever. You just lasted through the whole thing.
Yeah. And that counts for something, but yeah, totally.
It counts. Yeah, it does. That ticks one of the many boxes I have. Okay, you stuck with something. and you can regurgitate military. Okay, you can follow a schedule, but that kind of ends there. I would feel that if you are motivated enough, when you do get to a workplace environment, that motivation shines more than result.
Yeah, I think so. It's
the willingness
that's
to.
difficult. I mean, then that's the reason I'm not in it. Is just that getting into a place. Like I've gotten into like one place and it was awesome. And other than that, it's been freelancing where it's 100% getting in. And so, yeah, it's like, I'm really bad at that. And that's something I need to work on. It's just getting my foot indoors. But yeah, like I can do anything that like a junior developer would do. That's so straightforward, you know. It's just that my personality doesn't sell very well. I don't, you know, you look for certain things in a perfect stranger, and I kind of don't appeal to that. And so I have difficulty with that process, and just something I'm working on, you know.
So remote work.
I think just first impressions, presentation, polish, interviewing, selling myself, negotiating.
You wouldn't be happy at that company anyway.
Like
if you can't understand that a coder who has ability, and so much so that they would dedicate 6 hours of their Saturday to coding for no monetary gain. If they're not hiring that person, that structure is going to eat you alive.
Well, how do you find the people that are hiring that person?
It's a numbers game.
With a smart plan? Yeah.
No, that's a numbers game. You need to be interviewing them. As the interviewee, you should be choosing where you're working, not having them sell you a position. That's a big thing that I talk about with people who interview, is our job is to disqualify them. Mm-hmm. That's our job, is to try to talk them into not wanting to work here by airing out all of our laundry, sort of that freedom of communication. And the interviewee, their role is to figure out if they even want to work here. They're shopping. They don't have to say yes even if we offer them the position. They need to figure out where they're going to fit. And sometimes, especially in a job like coding, where I can only imagine you have the whole Skittles rainbow of different work environments, from remote all the way up to dormitory style at some data plant in Japan. It's a numbers game. You need to, when you're applying, don't go in with the attitude of, boy, I hope I get this job. Go in with the attitude of what would I need to want to work here, and where do I draw the line of, if this is something that is part of their procedure or is one of their policies or is expected of me that I don't agree with. That's not the job for me. Next.
Okay, well, I mean, this is something that, I mean, I could definitely use a lot of help with, and maybe we could go deeper into it later, like, you know, just basic career preparatory stuff. I mean, because I think a lot of people need that.
I've talked to plenty of current employees into not working for us anymore because they accepted a job that they were sold on. Mm-hmm. You got an interview, they made it, they doused you in spit and shinola and shit, and you bought it. Why would you, like, from day one you were unhappy? Why are you working here? Nobody looks when I'm looking at a resume, I look at how many jobs in the past 5 years you've had. I'm going to account some of those to maybe you just chose the wrong place, or maybe it was a really bad environment. Some of those I'm going to account to you're trying to get jobs that you're not qualified for. But nobody, and I mean nobody except the unemployment office, looks at how many jobs you applied for, how many interviews you sat in. If someone came in and said, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm 5 minutes late, I have 6 interviews today, I'm going to look at that person a little closer because they are shopping for somewhere they want to be. They're not coming in to be sold the position I have. They're looking for the position they want.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, next time, since we now understand this to be real, we'll actually pretend to intro, which is how you actually intro. And we'll be more prepared. I'll be more prepared.
I won't.
Because
I think that's the beauty. You got to have a color
you
man.
nothing. Yeah. You just. Well, what's the ribbon?
I got to pee real bad.
There it is. James got to pee real bad, and we will see you next time here at the. What are we gonna call it? The rodeo.
TBD. I love it. I love it. I love you. And
Cool, brother.
I'll talk to you in person next week and text you endlessly.
All right. Unthink me, bitches.
Okay, bye.